What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kibanshi, and we are here with Spartacus, Season 1, Episode 6 of the House of Ashur, titled Empty Things. The director of this episode is Debs Patterson, the writer Eliana Pipes, and the cinematographer Andrew McGeorge. So if you watched the last one, I lied. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be back on Sundays. No, we're not. I'm keeping my weekends open. And so much like I did with the It franchise, we're going to be dropping the rest of Spartacus on Thursdays, gearing right up into the Friday releases. It keeps things fresh. We keep the conversation going again. And we really get to guess, like, what is about to happen tomorrow. Like, that is crazy. And the things that happen in this episode, some things is like you can kind of figure out it might happen, but so many things happen in this episode that I'm still like, what is going on? I just watched it again for the third time, not to like refresh my memory or anything, because I have hella notes, but I watched it simply because I wanted to see Ashur throw the medicus off the cliff, because somebody was like really getting on my nerves today. Not in the traditional sense of like face to face or anything like that, but there was just some things that was going on today. And then I saw this weird interview question to Connor's story that Janelle James had to deflect and, you know, keep the conversation professional. And I'm just like, you know what'll make me feel so much better? Watching Ashur throw somebody off a cliff, because honestly, that is what this day was. It was really like, wow. So everybody lacks fucking sense. So, you know, I was feeling the vibes, and I sat down and watched it, and I'm still just stunned at what they were able to pull off in 48 minutes. This episode felt so long, and I think it's one of the shortest episodes that have come out so far. So I'm just like, what is next? I don't even remember the predictions that I had. I'm pretty sure I can scroll through this, but this episode is about episode 6, and you know, we're gonna try to go in order. I'm gonna try not to be here. I'm gonna give it an hour 10. I wrote so many notes, but they are grouped in order and in flow of the chaos. So hopefully we can be in and out. So we're here at the house. The boys, led by Achillia's future hubby, they're bringing her back to the house, and it is not looking good, y'all. Now, before I move on, this be my problem. Before I move on, regardless of like the men not liking her and things of that nature, it was just a beautiful way that the scene was shot, watching them carry her back as if she was one of their own. Like, even Tarkhan had a face of like, fuck, I need this girl to pull through, you know what I mean? And so there was a lot of reverence and a lot of respect from them as they were carrying her. And of course, Kellis is looking at her like, my baby, my baby, my baby, I need you to come back. And they take her in, and you know, the realism of her being in this state is just perfection. If she would have just had her hand sliced, you know, punched in the stomach, it's like, okay, let the ribs heal on their own. They are self-setting, you know, minimum motion, minimum training, whatever. But she got knocked in the face plenty of times. There was so much blunt force trauma to the brain that if she came back in any other condition besides this, it would have been fake. Like, it would have been fake as fuck. So I love that they are lending realism to the disbelief of just like all of the craziness. Well, is it really disbelieving? Because the world was just, I mean, still kind of, but just really shit, you know? But yeah, it would be insane for her to come back in the same shape as Tarkhan and Kelladis, especially given her size. Like, even the size of her body wouldn't have been able to withstand getting hit, you know what I mean? So I love that. So we get back and the medicus is like, hey bruh, ain't nothing we can do. And I know I don't, Steven, let's chat again, because I felt like the medicus being like, ain't nothing we can do, is very, like, the point was glaring at how in medicine Black women are the most underserved and have the highest mortality rates. Like, it was just like, she came in and then he came out and was like, all right, well, you know, we'll send up a prayer. I'm finna go get some swill. You want some? Like, he didn't do shit. And so Ashur was like, oh, you know, like, I think it was the medicus who brought up like the previous medicus from the house Batiatus or whatever. And he's like, well, you know, if you could bring him back from the grave. And he was like, you know what? Carry a message over there for him. And threw his ass off the cliff. He grabbed his hand on his shoulder and was like, oh, buddy, it's okay. You'll do better next time. In hell. Opening up this episode like this with the seriousness of Achillia's injuries was crazy. Like, oh my God. And this Ashur is a comedian all episode. Oh my goodness, I'm crying. Oh, that should not have been that funny, but it was just like, oh, you did your best. And sent him flying. Korris is like, what the fuck? He's like, how are you still with your friend? Y'all still, you know, bumping uglies? And Korris is like, yeah. Hey, go see if we can borrow a medicus, because we have a vacancy now. And so Korris is like, all right, bro, because I'm not about to be next. Oh, so he goes over to Operator's house, and I'm telling you, y'all, they have to be on Pegasus. Pegasus is employed, and I need to see a cameo in the closing credits at the end. I need to see Pegasus's title card with the House of Ashur in the back, because obviously this is a missing cast member that we are just neglecting right now. So Korris heads on over to Operator's house, and he sees Operator's packing, and he's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And Operator's like, bruh, why you asking me questions to the answers that you already have? And Korris is like, fuck is you talking about? And he was like, bro, them Cilicians, your man colluded with Caesar to make himself look good and position himself in the games. Like, he ain't finna come get me. And so Korris is like, what? And Operator's like, oh my God, you didn't know? And then Korris is like, no, I didn't know. And why the fuck am I finding out right now like this from you? And Operator's like, listen, babes, listen. Julius threatened to kill me, so like, I'm getting the fuck up on out of here. Do you see me? Do you see me? Who am I fighting? No one. None. And so, you know, I feel like you should come with me. You know, let's just get the fuck up on out of here. Like, the Syrian, he'll be fine. And Korris is like, well, I don't think he would kill you just because you skipping town, but he absolutely gonna kill you for asking me to come. So how about we, you know, go to him together? I'm gonna bring Dad, my boyfriend, and I'm gonna say, Dad, but I love him and I want to run away with him and we're gonna be together forever. And Operator's like, I don't think this is a good fucking idea, but if it keeps my head on my shoulders, then I'm good. I already got one man threatening to kill me. I don't need the other one. So if you can soothe this over, that'd be great. So Korris comes back, and I mean, he came back quick, right? All of this is happening. Achillia is in and out of consciousness, and we're actually seeing her like in the middle of a fight for her life in her consciousness. And so Korris comes back, and he got the medicus. The medicus speaks Greek. So Korris is like, bruh, I thought you could speak Greek. And he was like, bro, I know how to count to 10 and say my ABCDs. I don't know how to speak fluent. And Korris is like, oh, well, you also don't know how to tell me the truth. Because what the fuck was up with them Cilicians, bro? I could have got killed too. And Ashur's like, listen, our prize fighter is dying right now. Okay, Kim, there are people dying. We can talk about this later. And so, you know, they put it to bed real quick. So, you know, Mom and Dad they don't hate each other, but they're a little bit unfriendly right now. And Ashur's focus is not even on that. Like, bro, we could deal with this later. Like, do you not see the crisis I'm in? So we're out in the Lotus, and they're all fighting, you know, doing their regular training. And Kelladis is out there, you know, beating bitches up. And he sees Korris come out, and he was like, Corey, you know we go way back. Listen, how about you do me a solid? Be real discreet. You know, ain't nobody gotta know. But let me slide back and see Achillia real quick. And Korris, so fucking clueless. For what? She'll be all right. Let the medicus do his thing. And Kelladis is just like, how do I get back there, right? Because you can't. This is a need to know basis. Like, this is of the highest clearance level. And you can't tell him that y'all canoodled. You know what I mean? So he is just extremely frustrated. And he's taking it out on everybody else. So at this point, Korris is like, listen, until our champion gets back good, we're going to do a contest. But before the contest even happens, here comes Cornelia at the top, walking around here, dominating this house like it's hers. And she's like, actually, and in walks Viridia and in walks Kasutia. And she's like, you know, the men have been fighting all day, and that's great. But I'm going to need their cocks to fight with us. So we're gonna do a fuckfest competition, okay? This is gonna be great. And so she's asking them to choose their fucker. And she chooses Tarkhan, and Kasutia chooses Ephesius and Arato. And so Cornelia's like, Viridia, what say you? Does not man please the eye? And she's like, I don't know, maybe that one. And she points to Kelladis, and they called him old. Actually, yeah, so she points to Kelladis, and he is fine. But then Cornelia was like, oh, we're going with somebody a little aged, huh? How about we get that little one right there in the middle? So they go pull him back, and they have to present themselves butt ass naked. And Cornelia is like feeling on, you know, each prize, each tool, each member. And she looks at Ashur, and she's like, oh, well, what you got working with? And Ashur's like, bro, I run this house. I'm not gonna get naked in front of you. The fuck? Are you out of your goddamn mind? And Cornelia flexes her power, and this is like she might as well have bitch slapped him the way that Julius did, because now in front of his men, he is being humiliated and degraded, and his pecker made fun of, and in front of his crush. So you done got bitch slapped in front of your ladies yesterday. And now your men are seeing that you hold no power here. They're used to it because it is what it is. It seems like they've kind of accepted, at least this group of people accepted that they're slaves. They're here to do whatever, please, whomever. They here to fuck and they here to fight. Like, it is what it is. And so he leaves and Viridia ends up walking out, and Cornelia was laughing and called her sensitive. And she was like, well, you know, I'm not gonna do this job for y'all. Go ahead and get yourselves ready while me and Kasutia have a conversation. And she expertly slides in how she wants Kasutia to convince Gabinius to position Viridia, I know y'all, it's like the cousin of the friend of the mama and the baby daddy, to marry Quintus, which is one of Julius's men, to again continue to amass power for Caesar. Now, she is more powerful than Caesar. And in this episode, you really get to see that she's worse than him in a lot of ways. She's very smart as well. And this is one of those pairings that they married for political gain, but they ended up like loving each other in the worst way. It's like watching two demons, yo. Or Jackson Gallagher. I would call that man Jake the whole last recap. I felt so bad. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Yeah, Jackson described it very well. Two snakes fucking and biting, like, and that's exactly what happens here. So Kasutia is peeping game, and she's like, Gabinius is old school, and what makes you think I'm gonna turn on my man? And so Cornelia reaches between her legs and she's like, well, I can think of quite a few ways to turn you. Right now, it's about to be every which way but loose. And so she doesn't stop her, but I think at this point she realizes it would be an offense to do so. And the same way that she was just giggling at Ashur and how basically his hands were tied while being violated, she is now being violated in the exact same way. And she too has to sit there and do nothing. So where are we at? Looking at my notes. So Ashur walks off and Viridia ends up following him. And she goes and she's talking to him. She's like, look, all your men look great. Cornelia is a bitch, bro. I didn't even want to come here. But honestly, it's always so pleasant seeing your face. And, you know, all of the things that you boast about are true, including the one that I just saw. And so Ashur's like, okay, thanks. And it's a nice little pick me up by the back of his shirt after Cornelia just tore him down. But we also get to see a Viridia that is turning an eye, you know, taking a peek from underneath her grief and recognizing that there is someone in her presence who does make her look twice. And, you know, she's not blind, nor is her body dead to the presentings of men in front of her, and in particular this man. But Ashur, you know, forever the gentleman, he's like, thank you so much. That, like, I really needed to hear that. I appreciate that so much. But I must attend to Achillia. And Viridia's like, can I please come with you? Like, I need her to get better. Like, at this point, is Viridia inventing stan culture? Because she's like, no, I'm going to get a house coin made in her name. So they go and they're checking on Achillia. Korris is there, the doctor is there, the medicus is there, and they're doing all this other stuff and they're talking. And Ashur is like, oh my fucking God, did you not learn English? Goddamn. And Viridia speaks Greek and she translates for them. And it actually makes things a lot smoother. And from there, they're having conversations and they're having a heart to heart. And Viridia tells him, you know, Achillia, and you're presenting Achillia in this way sparked something in me that makes me believe that I am more than being somebody's wife, and I am more than carrying babies for somebody else's name. And we're getting more information on how she's actually handling her grief. And it's not so much as I'm still grieving my husband, but now we see she's been using the excuse of grieving her husband as a shield while she is basically plotting against the patriarchy and the duties of a woman to society. Like, she's like, no, I married my husband, you know, for the political stuff, but my whole life got dwarfed by his, and all of his needs and all of his wants became mine. And now he's not here. And I'm looking at all these women around me and I'm like, what the fuck do y'all do? Do you have a job? And then here you go presenting Achillia. And now I'm like, wow, I could do more. And honestly, parking it here real quick, what if Viridia can like get her own house? And it's like 20% gladiatrix to 80% men. That would be nice. But yeah, Ashur's like, I'm really glad that I could spark, you know, such conversations. And, you know, she's like, if I can impart something for you, it's not as tangible, but I would love to, you know, pray to the gods for Achillia. And that's when he tells her, you know, I don't really believe, you know, I watched my whole family get slaughtered, and where were the gods? And she's like, you know what? I get it. And she doesn't put him down. She doesn't Bible thump. And she just says, you've done so much for me in a way that strengthens me. So I will do something for you in a way that at least strengthens your warrior, because you actually care about her. So even though you don't believe in the gods, you can believe in me that I will believe in Achillia. And I know that that will make you happy. So we're getting some bonding here. And all of those things Messia was talking about in Hilaria's ear is happening. She's not just someone of power, but she listens to him. I won't even say boosts his ego. She rightfully pours into him, but she stands equal in front of him, matching intellect, matching humor, and matching vulnerability. And the energy that they have just permeates everything around him. Like, at this point, that blind man in Frankenstein could see that Ashur and Viridia have a lot of chemistry brewing underneath the surface. So, y'all. So, Ashur is going around and he's getting updates on Cornelia's moving around his house because he wants her gone. So he's talking to Messia, he's talking to Hilaria, and Hilaria's like, bitch, why you calling her Domina? Like, she ain't in this house. And Ashur kind of just like quells that whole thing that's happening, even though he has been having one-on-one private conversations with Hilaria. Like, Hilaria's like, Messia is your slave. Why is she over here behind that bitch taking orders and calling her this as if you don't exist? And Ashur's like, listen, she holds a lot of power. She's stronger than Caesar. Let's just do what we need to do to get her the fuck up out of here, right? But Hilaria, she is not having it. So when they walk off, Hilaria calls her bluff. And at first, Messia is making some points. She's like, girl, she is all powerful. You think I'm gonna tell her no? Look at what she's doing to the man in front of this house. If he ain't got no say, what makes you think we gonna have some say? And we didn't even have no say before she got here. So how does my position or yours change in this household? And so Hilaria's like, okay, I'm with you on that. You tried it. So if you're still loyal to this house, what did she say to Casutia in confidence? And Messia was like, nothing of note. Oh, okay. But at this point, that's just a point for Hilera versus Messia, because Hilera knows that she's lying. But Ashur's relationship with Viridia, he already knows what the purpose of this visit is and what she was going to be propositioning it. So while Messia is keeping this information from her actual Dominus, he's aware of what's going on. So, we back at Opiter's house, and Opiter's like, babe, please run off into the sunset with me. And so Korris is like, all right, you're right. I am going to miss those beautiful coils, and I'm going to miss that sweet sun-kissed skin. Let's go. It's time. Y'all. Ashur was so fucking sassy. Oh my God. The neck rolling in like the mocking choices that Nick decided to portray through Ashur in this scene is hilarious. Like, Korris is like, all right, operative, let's go. And then like next scene, it's like, you sitting over here in front of me telling you want to run away with this semblance of a man. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. If guns existed in this time, I'm pretty sure Ashur would have pulled out a gun and shot Opiter in his kneecap just off GP. Like off GP for just standing there in his face, telling him that you want to take his man when his champion is holding on for dear life. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? And Ashur is sitting over there like, oh, from Jupiter's cock right here to where I stand. Like, I ain't nobody gonna be dealing with this shit. I don't care who is offering you their dick. No. Like, no, the answer is no. So they going back and forth, and Korris is like, bro, you're being so fucking unreasonable. And Opiter's like, babe, I got this. Listen, you can have all my shit. No questions asked. I literally want to leave here with my head and my man. That is it. I'm not asking you for nothing else. There is no catch, baby. This house is about to be vacant. You want it or not, right? Premium marble, okay? Pillars, elite. And Ashur's like, I'll think about it on my own fucking time. Like, just go. And I thought it was so funny because Korris goes back to the sands and Opiter is just standing there. Ashur's like, get the fuck out of my house, bitch. I'm just like, that scene, it was just so good. But when you think about like everything that Ashur has been experiencing within the last like 48 hours, this was like the 12th reason, okay? We getting up there. This was Ashur's 12th reason. And it could not have come at a worse time. So Ashur got an attitude. Opiter is scared. Korris got an attitude. So he goes back out on the sands and we're getting to the training. So we're heading on over to Gabinius's house, right? And oh, I misspoke. Before he heads over to Gabinius's house, it wasn't Viridia. Viridia was talking about the marriage thing and stuff like that. But Cornelia explicitly told Ashur what she wanted from Casutia, and she wants Ashur to go to Gabinius's house to convince him to lend Gabinius's vote towards Quintus. So, you have her. Julius had already brought it up last episode. Cornelia's bringing it up to Casutia. Casutia been on Viridia's head about marriage in the first place. And now Cornelia is having Ashur talk to Gabinius. So she's planting this seed with husband and wife. Now, this is really smart because while we know that Kasutia was like, girl, my man is not going to do that. And what make you think I'm going to try to convince him to do this otherwise? Because of the power display that ended up happening immediately after, we're now looking at seeds being sowed of deceit. Because what if in episode 7, Kasutia does try to convince Gabinius, even though Ashur goes there and he's like, look, bruh, you and I have been keeping it a buck since episode 2. They don't know it's episode 2. You and I have been keeping it a buck from the beginning. I am not here for my own reasons. In fact, I was just chopping it up with your daughter and we were having a really good heart to heart because honestly, these days have just been hell. And Gabinius is like, my daughter, the fuck? And he's like, yeah, Cornelia invited Kasutia and Viridia over to our house. And so Gabinius is already like, this fucking bitch, what does she even want? And Ashur's like, hey, bruh, she told me to come over here to convince you to give Viridia's hand in marriage to this Quintus dude. And Gabinius is like, okay, and you don't agree? And Ashur's like, try to stay out of family business. And Gabinius is like, come on, bruh. You're the only person who keeps it straight with me, even though I be disrespecting you to your face all the time. Like, you know, at this point, you're kind of like the son that I wanted my wife to abort, but she didn't. And so now we're here, right? That's kind of like their relationship. Like, okay, I got to deal with it, I guess. And Ashur's like, bruh, if it was me and it was my daughter, I wouldn't do it. And so Gabinius is like, bet, I don't like that motherfucker anyway. And now I see what Cornelia and Julius are even up to. Like, this is crazy. What are they doing? Like, what are the moves? But Gabinius, I think, still is like a step behind. Like, this is giving like when Caesar and them go low, Gabinius is trying to take the high road while acknowledging that they're going low, but he's sticking so steadfast to his principles. Bruh, it's time to play dirty. Like, Julius and Cornelia are fucking their way into power in your homes, in your streets. Like, if you don't do something now, this is going to be a major problem. And so Gabinius is very appreciative of Ashur and his honesty. And he was like, you know, and I will send word for you to pay attention to your own fucking house, bro. I'm going to need your fighter to get well. And Ashur's like, bruh, you literally was pissed the fuck off when I presented a woman. And he's like, hey, stop bringing up the past. I'm just saying, this is a perfect opportunity for you to capitalize in a major way and make the moves that you actually want to make. And what Achillia did was present something that we have never seen. And the thing that Gabinius is speaking to but doesn't openly say is what I said last episode. Achillia's presence, her sheer will is igniting this feeling across all who witness her. She's this tiny little thing, but her power is so infectious and it's so explosive and it cannot be contained, and it's impacting the right people right now. Do I think the wrong people are going to want to chop her down? Abso-fucking-lutely. And it's one Proculus bitch head ass. So speaking of Proculus, we go into the streets of Capua. And Ashur's feeling good, okay? Like, Viridia talked him up a little bit. He went to Gabinius and Gabinius was, you know, giving him some little props and telling him, you know, these are the types of moves that you can make. And so Ashur's like, Capua, it's me. I'm him. And Proclus comes over and he was like, hey, bruh, let me rap real quick. And Ashur's like, bruh, go suck a dick. Why do you keep finding me and thinking I want to listen to you? And Proclus is like, hey, okay, so I hate to say it, and I'm only gonna say this one time. You killed it out there, bro. Like, Achillia, I have my doubts, but like, you did that. And Ashur's like, I fucking know. What else do you want, bowl cut head ass bitch? And he's like, hey, I'm inventing this new game. It's called fixing fights, okay? So what will happen is I will send my weaklings out to Achillia, because, you know, I don't want her to kill. No more my strong men. Like, oh my God, that could not happen. And we can split the winnings. What say you? And Ashur's like, man, that sounds like a really good invention, but go sell that shit to somebody else, because I am coming up on riches, my guy. And he proceeds to make the biggest fucking mistake. I literally was, hold on, where are my notes? Where are my notes? Where's my notes? I wish I could show y'all this. In parentheses, as Ashur is bragging about getting Opiter's home and everything that he has, bragging about this to your enemy, I literally wrote, sir, you haven't even agreed. What the fuck? Why? Why are you telling your enemies your moves, your come-ups? Why? Let them motherfuckers seethe from the background. Let them seethe from watching you win, bro. Do not tell them what you're doing. It pissed me off so much, and it's like a glaring like beacon to what separates Ashur as like a real political threat from people like Caesar, from people like Gabinius, because you don't know what they're doing. You still don't know what Crassus is doing. And you told your enemy that you were about to be richer and have more resources and assets than him. Rookie move. So we go back to the house and we whittled this competition down to Tarkhan versus Calidus. And, you know, Tarkhan is like, I'm going to take the title of champion from that lady. And Calidus has said, and I'm going to get it back and present it to her as a gift of my love, bitch. The fuck? And so Korris is like, all right, final round and fight. And Calidus is beating Tarkhan's ass. And I'm just like, Tarkhan, you're going to die in the arena. You are not worthy of being house champion. You're not. You're not. And so Calidus is unleashing everything on him. Now, is Calidus also fighting his hormones? Yes, but love is a great motivator, and considering he hasn't had any cooch in so long, he's now dipped his pecker back into the ocean that is Achillia, and there is just a ravenous hunger behind this. And so he's knocking all of Tarkhan's stuff out of his hand, and Tarkhan grabs him and was like, why do you fight for her? And Calidus sends him to the ground. He's like, I fight for this house. And I'm like, sir, I'm not on Tarkhan's side, but don't gaslight my mans. Don't gaslight my mans. He knows that you ain't never fought him like that in his life. So he's like, no, hell no. Hell no. And he's been distracted, and his mind and his focus has been on her this whole episode. And so Tarkhan's not an idiot, right? But him even making that cry of like, why do you fight for her? I feel like this goes back to when I was saying, like, she is going to be the thing that comes between them. And if so, it will be on Tarkhan's side. But I feel like this question, this cry can go two ways, because it can go in the way of like, you don't even know this woman? Like, bro, like, don't you want me, your son, to win? Or it can also be perceived as like, what is it about this woman that is changing you? But not necessarily in a bad way. He just might be trying to figure out. It's the thing, right? It goes back to Achillia's power. Other people are invigorated by it, and Tarkhan is threatened, right? And so maybe this could be a question that says, okay, let me figure out why everybody is all up in her shit. And why is my father one of those people? And so I liked that moment a lot. So Korris is like, well, Kelladis, and Ashur comes out. He's like, whoop, whoop, skippity doo. Hold on, Korris. Targon, you're going to be the house champion for now. And he's like, yeah. And I'm just like, you proud of that? You lost. Like, it's literally affirmative action right now, but okay. And so Kelladis is like, the fuck? Like, I can't see my woman. Then you take my victory from me. What the fuck is going on? Put me in the cell. Put me in this, lock it up. And Ashur's like, Kelladis will take over Doctore. So Korris is like, the fuck? Okay. And so, you know, it pains all of us for Korris to leave. And, you know, Kelladis is talking to Korris and he's like, you're my oldest friend. Simply because we've been the only two managing to live this long. But, you know, any wisdom, any words you got for me, you know, I'm going to try to do my best to live up to your name while, you know, bringing my own to it. You know, you've been a great friend and I'm going to miss you. And so Ashur's like, I just need you to do one more thing for me before you go. And this was such, I'm getting emotional thinking about it right now, because like, if you know Ashur's story, you know why he cannot stand the gods. I forgot about them dreams that he keeps having, but he cannot remember, right? So it's to know like what he went through and why he feels that way. I think anybody who's ever had religion forced upon them and then your life just was hellhole after hellhole and you went and actually questioned the God that your family forced down your throat. Anybody who's ever felt that and felt that abandonment, not only from your family, but then the God that's supposed to be all good and, you know, helpful and knowing abandons you too. There's an emptiness that you're forever seeking until you find a reason to take that walk again, not for your family's sake, not for what everybody told you the gods were, but because what it is to you. And now you have your individual armor on as you take that walk down through faith. And Ashur asking Korris to come and sit with him while he prays is huge. Huge. And not only does he pray, but he prays in his native tongue. And so it's this thing where he's been fighting to be accepted and to be a Roman man. Even Viridia telling him earlier in that day, you don't need to be like them. They're fucking awful. Be better than them. You are different, and embrace that uniqueness. Embrace that difference because they fucking suck. But it's you who I stand before in confidence and in privacy and in vulnerability because there's something in you that is trustworthy. And so him praying in that, having that conversation with Viridia, and speaking in his tongue and embracing his own identity, and for one single moment not seeking to be like the white Roman man. This powerful prayer that is said over Achillia, another woman who comes from a culture and a background that has deep roots with multiple gods, right? I'm sure there's some intersection in their background if we ever get to explore whatever that is. And the prayer going in through her subconscious as she is fighting for her fucking life at death's gates. Like, literally, I loved how they put that it wasn't just her sweating and mumbling and waking up screaming and this, that, and the third. Like, in her mind, her body, her everything is fighting to live. And finally, the thing that's been holding her back this entire season is the thing that she finally kills within her in order to let that past life go, in order to be reborn into the person that she is meant to be, who the gods deem her to be right now. So there's that. Absolutely powerful, right? But did Spartacus end it right there? Absolutely not. They gave us a season 1, episode 6 epilogue. As Korris leaves, going to sail away with his man, Operator is packing up the things in his house, and it is oddly quiet. Nary a flame lit in that house. And all you hear is like little feet and laughter, and you're like, I fucking knew it. And so they're like, oh, you thought that you could leave, huh? You thought that we wasn't gonna find out? You think you could just give over everything that you have and make somebody else be in the head of the game? Fuck no. And when Operator goes and tries to fight after begging for his life, they literally just start stabbing him over and over and over and over and over. And this is crazy because I predicted that Operator's involvement in the Cilician attack would lead to his death. I thought like Korris would have to, painfully, or that Ashur would do it to keep him quiet. I did not see it coming with the brothers Ferrex doing it until Ashur said what he said to Proclus in the streets of Capua. I was like, he's not making it out of this episode alive. And it was like the writings on the wall. And so while Korris is headed over to his man's house with Ashur, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God Ashur is with him, because I don't think Korris Korris is not going to handle this well. Korris is not going to handle this well. And them being together with this news will allow them to lean on one another, because I feel like if Ashur found this out and Korris wasn't around, there would have been a crash out like none other. I think he would have jumped off the cliff. And then if Korris found this out on his own, I think he would have left anyway, just being so grief-stricken, or he would have just ran up into Proclus's place with all of his men and fought until he died. And so I feel like going into episode 7, them being together, because I'm pretty sure they left together, this is going to be the thing where the other I think they're going to have so much grief and so much anger and so much hate and so much hurt, but I don't think they're going to want to see the other person feel that. And so I think they're going to focus their energy on like the retribution for the other. Like, they are brothers, and I hope that is what happens. If they both crash out, it's a wrap. Because this is crash out worthy. Like, oh my God, like this is crash out worthy. Like, what more can go wrong? And it makes me think about my interview with Nick. He was all like, wait till you see the next episodes. Like, like Ashur just be trying to do this, but here come everybody else trying to keep him down. What an understatement, bro. I think Ashur said his first and last prayer that we're going to see in this season. He was like, thank you, God. You got Achillia back, but fuck you. Because, like, what is this? A life for a life? I already sacrificed a goat. Crassus ain't paying me that much. I can't even afford to get another one. And, like, what more do I need to do, right? And so I'm hoping for a dream I'm hoping for another Lucy Lawless appearance in his dreams, where he is frantic and desperately calling for the gods and calling for some understanding. You know, he's supposed to be living in this other world, this other reality where he inherited the riches. And I still feel like it's a loophole in how you say things. You wanted to inherit all that was the house of Batiasis. And I feel like he inherited all of the bullshit. I don't think anybody respected Batiasis. I think Batiasis was broke as fuck the whole time. And so it's one of those be careful what you wish for type of situations. I genuinely think that this is that. So I need a dream in episode 7 or 8. I need it. Martin had it. I want it. Ashur needs to have a dream. Okay. Another prediction, Messia choosing a side. It is open and it is there, and Hilera needs to slit this girl's throat. I don't think Hilera is going to let Messia live. If Hilera does not kill Messia first, I fear Messia is going to poison Hilera. But I think that if Hilera is now plotting on Messia, again, she never liked that mouse comment, right? She ain't like none of that shit. And I think she's going to get her hands dirty. And she don't like Achillia at all. But she's seen what Achillia can do with a blade. And she sees how it's invigorating women like her. And so I feel like this could be a moment where she tests her own like murder instinct and slits Messia's throat. I feel like that's going to happen. Will she kill her and freak out and Ashur have to clean something up? I don't know. Maybe. It would be nice if she killed her, but like Achillia stumbled across it. Because then there's like allyship through blackmail or some shit. But yeah, it has to happen. It has to happen. I don't know. What's the actress name? Ivana Banquero? I don't know, girl. Love you though. But yeah, Messia gots to go. And then, Cornelia trying to turn Gabinius against Pompey and side with Julius. But again, I feel like, I don't think Gabinius is putting on an act. If he is, that would be so fucked up. Like, what if he's just like taking Ashur's recommendations in confidence and like falsely building him up just to test how far he can go with Ashur and then pull the rug from underneath him? That would be so fucked up. But Gabinius don't like Cornelia at all, bro. Like, he don't like them. But that would be interesting if that was to happen. I don't think that it would, because Gabinius already said that he can't trust a motherfucker around him to tell him the truth. So I hope that he finds enough energy into him or in him to respect Ashur enough to at least build some type of alliance. But Ashur's playing two games. Like, he holds his cards to the vest too. And I'm actually really proud that he didn't tell Gabinius exactly what he planned to do. He was like, yeah, I'm already coming into some good fortune, Gabinius didn't ask and he didn't give. And so I'm so glad that he didn't say exactly what it was, because that would have been embarrassing. And I think Gabinius would have dropped him like a hot pocket if he said that's what he was going to do and then lost it because of that. But I do think Korris is going to blame Ashur for this death, because Ashur is going to put 2 and 2 together. Who else would kill Opiter? Who else would know that he was leaving? Korris, Ashur, and of course Proclus, because you told him in the middle of fucking town square, bitch. You should have just had a megaphone. Cause the fuck? That didn't make no sense. And then my final thoughts. I just love every relationship dynamic in here. Korris and Ashur's relationship. Ashur and Gabinius' relationship, Korris and Calidus' relationship, Ashur and Achillia, Ashur and Viridia, Achillia and Calidus, and then of course Achillia and Rome. Achillia is about to be Spartacus and she don't even know it. Like, there's not a rebellion that we know of to overthrow anybody from her side, but she is stirring the flames. She is fanning the flames on every underdog in Rome. And there are more poor people and more slaves than the rich ones. And so if she continues down the path that she's on and Ashur continues to develop her and pour into her, she's going to be a threat, because it's not so much as getting the slaves of the houses to overthrow the dominas and the dominance of their house. This is going to spark a movement for just the regular people to kill all these motherfuckers. Like some straight up Khaleesi. Y'all remember the episode of Game of Thrones when they thought Khaleesi didn't speak Valyrian? And then she started speaking Valyrian and told all the men to kill them slave masters. That's what it's given. And the whole time though, I think it's like by accident. Like Achillia ain't trying to do this shit. She's trying to get through this agreement so she can get the fuck back where she come from. But this is going to shake some shit up, especially for the women. And like I said, the women are front and center in Spartacus' House of Ashur. I love it so much. Like, it's literally like equal power, equal representation, equal care given to not only just a storyline of the men and women that we see, but just the abstract like idea of men of this time and of women in this time. Even the slaves have more voice. You know what I mean? Like, just really getting into who would have been considered side characters in other shows. We are now making them an integral part of the narrative, driving it forward. And one does not work without the other. And I love that so much. Like, give me all the seasons. What do I think is going to happen in episode 7? I do think Kasutia. Okay, if I trust Kasutia, and I want to, I think Kasutia will tell Gabinius what Cornelia said. And if so, I think they will devise a plan that will get Cornelia and Julius to think that they are going to sign over Viridia to Quintus. In order for this to work, though, I don't think they'd be able to tell Viridia of their plan. Not just yet. Viridia would really have to fight this genuinely. Because I think if they told Viridia, she would go along with it and they'd be suspicious. So I hope Kasutia tells Gabinius, trusts her husband, and they devise a plan to play Cornelia and Julius and play into this so they can figure out their actual motivations and why they're actually here. And yeah, I see crash outs, but I also see Calidus getting some sweet kisses with Achillia. We need a ship name, guys. We need a ship name. Leave some suggestions in the comments. Like, I'm loving it. Achillia? Chlamydia? That sounds like chlamydia. Oh my God. Y'all, hold on. Okay, I got 30 seconds. I'm gonna end this episode, y'all. Like, I only got 30 seconds because I don't want to have to restart this. I'm trying to do this in an hour. Okay. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below if you got people that want to listen. Make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I do film, TV news, and updates. And I also link all of my articles to my Substack for things that I don't talk about on this podcast. You can also find me on TikTok at Kivanchi. You can find me on my main Twitter page at Kivanchi. You can find me on Twitter, the official podcast at Pod. So There's That. Okay, I'm out. Under an hour, guys. I told y'all. Bye.